Hey guys, DieHard here with part 2 of the DieHard truth. The first part I wrapped up, I was talking about the TPP Breakdown Rumble of 2012, notoriously known as one of the worst rumbles ever. And I'm driving right now, so like I said, this is a weird, different way for me to kind of interact with you guys. And never really done, like I have a vlogging channel, but never done it like on my wrestling channel. So anyways, the Breakdown Rumble. Leading into the Breakdown Rumble, there was a video I had released. It was me unboxing another Hawk HD PVR. Well, both my Hawks were having my first one was having super bad screen tearing issues. And so we ended up, Zach Samararo at the time was recording with me. So we were recording and then I was doing all the editing. And he was trying to learn how to edit, he was trying to, come to terms with it. So we ended up, we rewrote the Breakdown Rumble, I think 4 different times. Different matches. And then the way that we did the Rumble was these series of battle royals with 6 people in each one. And then the very last person would go into the next bracket. And so every time I tried to record it, the recording would have like this tearing effect and this jitter effect. So Samararo ended up recording all of the Rumble. And then I, sat there and edited it. And there was, for the Rumble alone, I want to say there's about 32 different parts that we did, like 32 different takes. And so I had to sit there and edit it and try to make it look as clean as I could. And the main selling point to that Rumble was we had people like Monroe, and that, like, Monroe was, like, I was pulling for Craig Hazard before, but I had wanted Monroe to win. Like, I was like, oh man, I want Monroe to win the Rumble because that would be great, and we'd get him in a title shot, because that was what, but then Jordan, like you said, he really wanted to do a match, or a series of matches with Monroe. I ran it by Monroe, he said, okay, great. So it came time to do the Rumble, and Monroe was unfortunately unavailable. And Jordan was unavailable. So it was me and Suicide Kid or Suicide Saint, Damien Gamer, it's all those characters. It was me and him, we ended up playing those parts. I played the part of Monroe, and I had to remake Jordan's character because my save had gotten corrupted and Jordan's character was no longer on Community Creations. So I had to remake Jordan's character to the best of my ability. And I'm not really great at remaking somebody else's character, but I think I did a pretty decent job. And so we went and did that, and we had them eliminate each other out of the Rumble and battle up the entrance ramp. And then their storyline was going to continue on from there. It was going to be like a 3-month thing. Well, everything went to crap after the Breakdown Rumble. Like, people instantly disliked the show. They were saying that because the Samararo's brother had wanted to join TPP, so he had made this character, Chuck Liddell or something. I think it was Chuck Liddell, and he was this rookie, no wrestling experience, blah blah blah. He came in and he destroyed people in the Rumble. Like, he fucking destroyed people. The only saving grace we had was that we kept Extreme in the Rumble, throughout most of it. And it was just one of, Extreme holds a record in TPP history. It's the most eliminations ever. Like, in the 2011 Rumble that we did, Extreme had, I think, 17 or 19 eliminations. He was fitted to look like he was going to win it, but he's always been a tag team competitor, and that's how I've always booked him, as a tag team guy. I tried a singles run with him, and it just didn't really work. Because the thing with the Extreme character, when I had TPP back in 2010, I had 2 Xboxes, so I just made it. It was, the gamer tag was Push to Extreme. Everybody in TPP knew it was me. I just didn't plug in a mic, but they knew it was me. So we ended up, like, in 2012, we had Chuck Liddell eliminate Extreme, which honestly we probably should have done it the other way. We should have had Extreme eliminate Chuck Liddell. And then it came down to Monroe and Hazard. They were the final 2. Like, Monroe made it Yeah, Monroe made it to the very end. It was Monroe, Jordan, and Craig Hazard. So maybe they didn't do the battle of. No, that was on previous episode. So we ended up. Jordan got eliminated, and then we had Monroe and Hazard go at it just for a short period of time because I was like, all right. I was like, well, what can we do to make sure this looks decent? And I think the way we did the Rumble elimination was decent enough. Like, it looked legitimate. And Hazard had been putting in work in TPP. Like, that dude bled TPP. He was right there every single time. If something was going down, he was my amigo. He didn't leave me, high and dry. And so Hazard won it. We had mixed reactions on it. Some positive, some negative. And that was just people, being people. Because that's what people do. If they don't like something, they like to try to make everybody feel like crap about it. And then, I don't know, I feel like Craig Hazard's win was kind of taken from him because of that. And it was just really unfortunate. So we're going to fast forward to the end of 2012. Like I said in the other one, the show was kind of sporadic throughout 2012 because the game was really broken. Really, really broken. So then... Oh, wait, no, that would have been the Rumble. So that would have been 2013. Yeah, that was the Rumble of 2013. Because Monroe debuted in TPP in 2012, at the end of 2012. So 2013. Anyways, so I stand corrected. I brought back the show like 2 months later, and then it ran all summer. Like all summer into the fall, into when 14 was coming out. And I was like, oh, we should do a Caw Awards. And this is where things got real interesting. At this point, I was kind of liked by some people, kind of like not liked by other people. And I don't know why I was liked or disliked. All I knew is I had a DieHard, pardon the pun, a DieHard fan base. Like they were tuning in to all the episodes. We were putting out an episode every single week. And, that's when I came across McNabb, Jimmy B. Martinez. That's when I made Jerry Graham, blah, 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 stuff like that. But when I announced the Caw Awards, I put up a whole bunch of categories. And I had nominated people that wouldn't normally be nominated for something like that. Like, one that sticks out was the darkest wrestler gimmick of 2013. And I did take a little pot shot at Birdie. Because I put him as a dark wrestler gimmick, but he wasn't really a dark wrestler gimmick. He was more like an emo wrestler gimmick thing, and that was because we had that match on 2013, and his video was called Pla SFA Birdie. That's the only reason that ever happened. And there was a kid, his name was Damian Sin. He wanted to do a Hell in a Cell against Monroe. And at the time, Monroe and me were still cool, and I was like, hey, this guy wants to do a Hell in a Cell with you, and, we're going to do it for my High Voltage World Tour. And Monroe's like, all right, yeah, cool, whatever, and he does the match. And so I nominated Damian Sin based on his character as one of the darkest gimmicks of 2013. He was a contender for it. There was others in there. And, somehow, when I put that out and, like, all the other categories, it was Christmas time. It was right before Christmas. I was like, all right, cool. I was like, I'm going to let these run. I told everybody, hey, after Christmas Day, the polls are closed. Or Christmas Eve, I think is what I said. And I went up to my dad's house. We were having the holidays up at my dad's. He lives an hour away, so we were staying, we were up there for like 4 days. And then somehow, Christmas Eve night, or the 23rd, there was a situation that happened. And prior to that, like 2 months prior to that, Hollywood Ron and Twisted, like RCW is what, Ron's colleague was. I don't know, there was a big blah that happened between Twisted and Rebel and all of them with RCW. And it was like somebody was talking smack about somebody else, and it got blown way out of proportion. I interjected myself, and I told Ron, I was like, hey man, just don't worry about it. And, at that time, Twisted and I weren't really, like, friends, but, we weren't enemies either. And I was like, okay, well, we'll be all right. I didn't think nothing of it. Well, what happened was more shit got stirred up, and Twisted was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna find Ron on Facebook." And in Twisted's mind, he was probably like, "Hey, you know who might have Ron on Facebook? DieHard." Well, guess what my Facebook at the time was? It still might actually be that. It was the one DH. That was my URL to my Facebook profile. So he found that, and he found Melinda's picture, my ex-wife. Found her picture, and that's where it all blew up. The picture got circulated. I woke up the next morning to messages from Monroe, from a whole bunch of other people saying, "Hey man, you need to check Twitter, blah blah blah. You know, shit's going down." I was like, "What are you talking about?" I didn't know. And I ended up finally finding out. Like, I think it was like 10:30 in the morning, and a bunch of memes were passed around about Melinda and about my son, and so I was really really upset. Obviously, that's the red button. When you start doing stuff like that about somebody's family, that's the red button. And what does this guy stop for? I don't know what he stopped for. But I ended up, I made a couple of follow-up videos verbally lashing out. Like verbally lashing out. I lashed out at Twisted. I lashed out at Verdi. I lashed out at, people like Cameron Bash. I lashed out at anybody who I felt was involved. And I don't apologize for anything I said because I meant it. And that's the thing. I meant all of it. I meant every single word. And, Twisted and I, we're friends. We're good friends now, actually. But we owned up to it as men. Like, we're like, look, I said this. I don't feel bad for saying it. The same with him. He said, I said this, but I don't feel sorry about saying it. I meant what I said when I said it. And that's probably why me and Twisted are such good friends. Because we were brutally honest with one another. And that's one thing that the community lacks is honesty about anything. And so after that, we weren't friends right away, obviously. I took a couple months off. I came back. I started my show. I got my girlfriend sending me a bunch of text messages right now. I'm trying to read them sideways. And so, I brought the show back, kind of distanced myself from a lot of it. In 2014, the show was really starting to pick up again. A lot of traction that I'd originally wanted for TPP back in 2013. And or in 2013, leading up through that whole year, and then in 14, by midway through 2014, Twisted and I we were civil. We weren't friends, but we were civil. Wow, my phone is really hot right now. But we were cool. We were cool with one another, and that was kind of the point that we were at, is we were cool. And the Xbox One was coming out for 2K15 and all that, and I already had an Xbox One, and I was in the process of picking up a PS4, and we ended up, the first thing I did was with 2K15, I said about how broken the game was. It was very bare bones, very broken, 25 call slots, that was it, nothing, to really write home about, and I was like, that'll be fun. And so I was like, I'm going to do, at this point, it was no longer called TPP, it was called FFW. And FFW, I was like, we're going to do it offline. And I did it offline, the entire 2015 year, sporadically offline. And I was okay with that, because I felt that I wasn't really gaining anything by trying to... Oh, wow, it did actually drain my battery. But I was trying to get a feeler for it. And then 2K16 was announced. At this time, Twisted was primarily on PS4. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And we were chit-chatting and stuff. At this point, we were chit-chatting pretty much daily. We were playing on PS4 together. We were playing COD. And then Twisted and Biff had invited me into the Prophecy chat. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And, Biff was saying that he was having a little bit of trouble keeping people motivated. And some of you may know Biff as one of the original writers for Gnaw. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, I can go in there and put on the stern face and help get people motivated, because there's one thing I'm good at, and that's getting the people on the show that I'm on to get their stuff done. I'm really good at it. When Daddy DieHard starts yelling, that's when you know it's serious. And so I did that. I went in the chat. At this point, though, there was Biff was he was going to see a movie. I think it was Star Wars or something like that. And the show really needed to get put out. It had been it had been a while. And I was supposed to do commentary on it, I believe. And so Twisted had told Biff, well, look, you send me the files, I'll go and edit them, and then I'll send them back to you. All I got to do is just render it. Biff didn't want to do that. He wanted to edit it, and Twisted's like, well, I'll edit it for you, and then all you got to do is render it. Well, Biff was like, yeah, I'll send it to you. Well, he never sent Twisted the stuff. So Twisted got mad. So later that night, or the next, well, I guess technically it would have been the next day in Europe. But Biff was blaming Twisted because he said he didn't have a good night, and everything blew up within the Prophecy chat. Well, Twisted left the Prophecy chat, and UJ did, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And then I was trying to talk with Biff on Skype, and I was talking with Twisted on Skype. I was trying to, get them to, let the level heads prevail. Well, Dave was right when he's like, fuck it. And I was like, all right, well, man, I got this PS4, picked up 16, might as well do something. He's like, well, what do you have in mind? And I was like, we should start a league. We should be in a league together. And that's how that happened. That's how PWA happened the first time. And it wasn't out of spite for Prophecy, because Prophecy had a lot of hype behind it. And so we started PWA, and within 24 hours, Twisted had renders of people going up on Twitter and stuff. And he designed amazing graphics. And at this point, I was trying to step up my editing and trying to make it look more presentable. And I was like, man, and at this point, our competition was Pure. And Pure, I don't think they'd released their first episode yet. So it was it almost felt like a race to release stuff. But at the same time, I still had FFW on the Xbox. So we were putting out our episodes on FFW. We started, the FFW episodes were recorded in December of 2015. The PWA matches, we got that first episode done, that first month done within 4 days. 4 or 5 days. We were telling people, hey, go do your matches, blah, 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 so I can edit them. We still had PWA come out concurrently with FFW. Although PWA was an afterthought. Literally, it didn't happen until after I'd already established everything for FFW. And so what we did to correct it for PWA, we didn't include them in the Rumble on 2K16. We had them have their own pay-per-view, Adrenaline, which is an old FFW championship, the Adrenaline Championship, the light heavyweight championship. And it was great. And that led into our big snafu with PWA, which Twist and I know that it turned people off from PWA because in everybody else's mind, it was a power play move on our part, but it wasn't. The thing with Bronson, what went down, he came in to PWA and he's like, oh man, you guys are giving everybody chances, all these great things, and nobody else will, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. And we're like, well, yeah, man, everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody has to start somewhere. So why not help to get you to that next point? And so he came in, and everybody was pulling for Finkelstein. Everybody except for Twisted. Even I was. Everybody wanted Finkelstein to win the tournament. He's a comical heel. He's got a good-looking character. But Dave said, no, I don't want it because it's going to start a bunch of shit. And I knew that, and he knew it, and we talked about it a lot. We're like, we don't want this to happen because we don't want a bunch of shit. So we were like, all right, we're going to have Bronson do it. We're going to have Bronson win it. He's a big man. Carry him all the way through the pay-per-view, and beyond that, real test of strength. Have him run through the entire roster. We gave him that special match with Alex J. Eric. And then, all the while, we're getting bashed by, what's his name? Kevin Calms? Is that his name? I don't whatever his name is, people were bashing on PWA. Well, Bronson Koala was joining that show, WAW. So Twisted and I were talking to him in the chat. We're like, look, man, you got to make a decision. You can't be going there with the plate. Like, we're building you up as this immovable object, this unstoppable force. You're going to go there, and who's to say they're not going to have you jab out in 20 seconds after we're trying to make you our champion? And it seemed like it was making logical sense to him, but I don't know. He is youngish, not younger, just youngish. And so we ended up, he left the chat. And I told Twisted, I was like, all right, what can we do? And he said he had a special attire for the pay-per-view, which he did. He had it as an alternate attire on the Big Bronson character. So I spent about 30 minutes. I went through Bronson's moveset, and I corrected, moves that weren't fitting for him to be moves that were fitting for him. And then we went and did Finkelstein and Bronson. And we still had Bronson win. And it happened after the match. Like, we did the match, and then Twisted and I were playing Call of Duty, and it was Black Ops 3. We're playing it. I think we were like on strong. I don't remember the map we were on, but Twisted it ended, like the game ended, and we're sitting in the lobby. He's like, I got an idea, and I was like, all right, what do you got? He goes, we need to have somebody attack Bronson after he wins. I was like, okay, but we need to add something to it because it's got to make logical sense. Now remember, at this time we didn't have a general manager on PWA, so we were able to pull Steve Baker from FFW, say that he was the general manager of PWA, and he announced at the end of the match that Bronson won the opportunity to fight for the PWA World Championship against Twisted, which was the swerve. And some people, they thought it was a unique swerve. Others didn't react so positively, which is understandable. We get it, And so we were rolling. We were doing the podcast every week, getting DDoSed every fucking week, by the way. Every time I was doing my podcast, somebody was DDoSing me. Well, then, we had done episode 6 of FFW and episode 6 of PWA, and we did our podcast earlier that week. We did our podcast, and we had a whole bunch of Ask FM questions given to us. It was like 127 different questions, 128 questions, something like that. And they all came in, and we had all the matches recorded. We just had to do commentary. That's all we had to do was commentary on episode 7, 8, 9, and then the pay-per-view. We had everything was edited and recorded except for commentary. Well, on the podcast, and my video called Fuck It All, it shows the screenshots of what was said. I was called the talent pool, things like that. And then they were posting parts of my background, as well as, my home address. And did I have to end PWA then and FFW? Probably not. But I was at the point where I was like, really? I was like, I'm just trying to have fun playing my game, and somebody still wants to go out and try to ruin the fun. So at this point, I was beyond annoyed, and I was like, all right. I was like, fuck these guys. So I put the Fuck It All video up, and I stepped away. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to miss this community. And I did. There was a couple different times I was going to come back, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And so I skipped 2017, and now into this year. And I was like, all right, I can kind of do this now. And then recently, Caw Talks uploaded a video talking about the FAM situation, like that they were having, because like FAM got another Caw show and then like murdered it off or whatever, or they're killing it off. I get it, but he interjected in his video and put stuff about Verdi killing PWA. Here's what happened with that. I contacted the authorities in regards to those Ask FMs. They had an investigator. He got the IP address he contacted the administrators over at Ask FM, got whatever information he got out of them. I don't know what information he got out of them. All I know is the last time I spoke to Detective Monson, he told me, hey, you know, do you know anybody that lives in Ohio? And I was like, I know a couple of people that live in Ohio, but, you know, and he asked me, would any of those people do this type of thing? And I was like, I can't really say that they would or wouldn't because I don't really know. Because the thing is, Jordan Moore lives in Ohio, and I've known him for a long time. I also know there's other people in Kaw that live in Ohio. And he asked me if I wanted to press charges, what I wanted to do. I told him, I was like, yes, if charges can be pressed, let's press them. That was the last I heard from him. He said that was the last I was going to hear from him because it was beyond his jurisdiction at that point from the state I lived in. That's like a state-to-state thing or whatever. I don't know. I never found out who technically did it. All I know is it stopped. That's all I wanted. I just wanted that shit to stop. And, yeah, so then when I said to Contacts, I was like, look, man, don't give misinformation because that's what starts, you know, crap. That's what gets people fired up when you spread misinformation like that. Like Dave made a video within an hour of Contacts uploading his, and that was starting a bunch of shit that me and Twisted just don't want right now, you know. And I know somebody said certain shows back and the commentary's still boring, this and that. When's the last time you put up a show, buddy? But yeah, so going forward now, where I'm at, you know, I announced PWA was coming back, and we're doing PWA a little different. This time it's probably not going to be weekly. It's going to be kind of, you know, whenever we want to do it. And that's fine. That's great. I think that's great. But I'm also bringing back FFW. And FFW is going to have more, probably the weekly schedule that it had, you know, before. And right now, I just gathering people for it to make the magic happen. And yeah, I don't know. That's all I've really got. I mean, that's the DieHard truth. That is from my humble beginnings to my humble currents right now. And I don't really... Oh, somebody's listening to music outside. I don't know. It's... I want to say a large part of why I keep doing the show is I look at, you know, like the view statistics for like FFW and TPP and PWA and stuff, and these channels are still getting people watching it to this day. After PWA went away, people were saying that PWA was a great show and they wish it went anywhere. And those are some of the guys that were hating on the show. You know, and I just wish that people would just be honest from the get-go. Be like, hey, you know what? This is actually a really good show. You know, I put just as much work into my show as what the others put into theirs. So the work that they were putting into Pure with multiple people editing it, I was doing that too, just by myself. Twisted was giving me the graphics, I was doing the editing. You know, and I was doing it on 2 shows. And I'm going to be doing it again. Like, PWA right now, it's there, but it's not where Twisted and I want it to be. But FFW, I remade all the old FFW, or most of them, not all of them. Most of them so far. I'm still making a few more. And, you know, yeah. But in large fault, the reason why I continue to come back is because of that rabid, again, pardon the pun, that rabid diehard fan base that I have. You guys follow me to the ends of the earth, and I appreciate all of you for that because you guys are absolutely amazing. But, all right, so this has been 30 minutes, plus the 20 whatever from the part 1. This is an hour look into my my history, so I'm going to wrap this up because, yeah. And there is a first time for everything. This was the first time I've ever done this with you guys. I mean, I've done podcasts where you guys didn't see my face, and some of you have seen my face before. And, you know, I've done rant videos, but this wasn't really a rant. This was just kind of like the introspective look. And I just wanted to connect with people that still watch my stuff. So I appreciate it if you hung out this entire time. And I will, I don't know, I'll see you soon with, you know, Christopher Billings doing commentary. If you haven't subscribed to the PWA channel. You can just type in PWA in HD on the YouTube search, or on Twitter, PWA in HD is the Twitter handle. Go to the YouTube, subscribe, follow it on Twitter. As well as, if you aren't subscribed to this channel, subscribe to this one, follow it on Twitter. And you can follow Billings. VC Billings is on his Twitter handle. Obviously, you guys know it's me, D-Tune voice. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna just laying this Yukon's parked really close to me. But all right, I will see you guys soon on the video game world. All right, see ya.